Right now, your brain feels stable. You feel rational, predictable, and in control of your actions. But that sense of stability is heavily dependent on one thing. You are currently operating in a perfectly safe environment. This gauge represents your biological capacity. To keep you safe, your brain employs neurological governors, locking your physical capabilities at a low, sustainable threshold to prevent injury. But in a life-threatening situation, playing by normal rules means death, so it drops the restrictions. When people experience extreme stress, endure freezing temperatures, or face terrifying danger, they often report feeling superhuman or entirely out of control. Your brain executes a highly coordinated emergency override, accessing a massive reserve of hidden capacity to keep you alive. Let's look at what happens during a sudden emergency. Say you're in the path of oncoming danger and have fractions of a second to react. Your rational, thinking mind immediately steps back. An older, much faster survival circuit takes direct control, flooding your bloodstream with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate spikes and your perception of reality shifts. This diagram illustrates how your perception changes under extreme fear. The top timeline shows a normal flow of sensory data, but the bottom timeline shows what happens in a crisis. Time isn't actually slowing down. Instead, your brain drastically increases the amount of information it processes every single second. By absorbing more data in the exact same window of time, it creates the illusion that the world around you is moving in slow motion. But processing that much sensory data requires a massive amount of energy, forcing a severe trade-off. You gain incredible reaction speed, but your ability to analyze nuance or to make complex choices drops off a cliff. That is exactly why people in the middle of a disaster often make choices that seem entirely irrational in hindsight. In that split second, your brain sacrifices logic and complex thought because it only cares about executing a fast, physical movement to evade death. While speed handles split-second decisions, other threats demand sheer brute force output. Look at this diagram of human muscle tissue. Under normal conditions, your brain limits the number of muscle fibers it will activate at any given time. It intentionally caps your physical output to prevent your muscles from generating enough force to snap your tendons or shatter your own bones. But if you're trapped under a heavy object, the brain removes that governor. It floods the entire muscle group with electrical signals, activating the tissue to near total capacity. This bypass is what causes the phenomenon known as hysterical strength, allowing ordinary people to lift incredible weights or run at near impossible speeds. As soon as the physical threat is completely gone, your body pays the heavy price for bypassing those safety limits. Victims often experience severe physical exhaustion, torn muscles, and emotional collapse immediately following the event. Accessing that hidden gear is a destructive biological loan taken out against your body's structural integrity, strictly to ensure you survive the next 30 seconds. Acute threats trigger immediate, fast-acting overrides. But different biological shifts occur during prolonged, grueling exposure, spanning days or weeks in extreme environments. Your brain operates as a constant prediction machine. To function normally, it expects a continuous, reliable stream of sensory input from the outside world. This model shows how human perception works in a vacuum. When external stimulation is completely removed, your brain attempts to fill the silent void by generating its own inputs. Without new data coming in, it routes its internal signals outward, causing people in extreme isolation to report hearing voices or seeing phantoms in an empty room. If you combine that intense isolation with severe sleep deprivation, the biological system starts to enforce its own rest periods. When pushed past the limits of exhaustion, the brain will initiate uncontrollable microsleeps, essentially shutting off your conscious awareness for seconds at a time, even while you are still standing up or walking. Plunge that exhausted body into freezing temperatures, and another protocol activates. As hypothermia sets in, the brain drastically slows down its overall electrical activity to conserve rapidly dwindling energy and oxygen stores. This systemic slowdown causes the specific centers of the human brain, responsible for temperature regulation and logical judgment, to fail. This leads to paradoxical undressing, a strange phenomenon where freezing victims irrationally strip off their warm clothing in sub-zero temperatures. Shedding winter gear in a blizzard or hearing voices in the dark represents a calculated trade-off. Your biology systematically shuts down all non-essential reality to buy the physical body just a few more hours of life. Time dilation, terrifying bursts of physical strength, phantom voices, and delirium in the cold are not signs of a system breaking under pressure. These overrides reveal a machine that seamlessly adapts to an uncompromising directive: keep the host alive at any cost. The quiet, stable, highly rational version of your mind that you use to navigate your daily routine is just a carefully curated fraction of your actual capability. It is a limited interface, designed specifically for safety and predictability. But beneath that safe mode, every single person carries this raw, ancient survival engine, completely dormant but ready to fire at a moment's notice. So the real question is, if your environment suddenly changed, your safety limits were entirely removed, and you were pushed to the absolute edge, who would you actually become?